Hi, everybody, it's your old pal Chuck, and I am back with another Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles review. And today we are taking a look at the new Rocksteady figure. Last time I looked at Bebop, and this time we're taking a look at Rocksteady. And unfortunately, this figure is not as good as Bebop. Really not as good. If you remember, I told a little bit of the story on the back of the packaging. Well, this is Steranko, the guy who tried to steal Shredder's kabuto or helmet, and well, he got mutated into Rhino and adopted the name Rocksteady. Right off the bat, you will notice that for accessories, the figure comes with a sickle and hammer, or hammer and sickle, which, for those of you of a certain age, you might remember those were the symbols of the old USSR, which is what Russia used to be when it was the United Socialist Soviet Republic. Um, these are a pain and a half to get into the hands. I will not be taking them out except to store the figure. Other reviewers, I don't know if maybe they have better figures or they're underselling the difficulty, but it is a real pain. These are soft, good accessories trying to fit into stiff, molded plastic hands that aren't molded in a wide enough position for them to fit. It is very disappointing because they look cool. Another thing I should mention is whereas Bebop was very articulated for a villain figure, which is something that Playmates really does not do in this Turtles line. The articulation, really the focus goes to the Turtles, their allies, and well, actually, it's really just the Turtles, and then everybody else gets anything else. This figure is very limited. I would say it's even more limited than some of the other villain characters out there. Which is a shame because it was shown in preview images to have more articulation. Let me start with the articulation since I'm talking about it. First, the head is only on a swivel joint. And if you can see, the neck is set in such a way that the head is fixed forward. So, depending on how far you go to look, you do get a little bit of gappage there that just doesn't look right. And that happens with a lot of figures. You can't hold it against him. Now, this figure was supposed to have a lateral shoulder movement, but unfortunately, all it has is a swivel joint. I mean, the arm can rotate 360 degrees if you so wish. I don't know why. It's pretty much breaking the arm. But there is wrist articulation. But really, since there is no lateral arm movement, this is rather pointless. Um, one thing I've learned from handling action figures is, it's not just adding or subtracting one point of articulation. There's usually like two or three, required joints to work together. Speaking of joints, you have a nice waist swivel, which, sort of works for what it is. I mean, you can get some interesting poses. Then we come to the legs. Now, the legs, again, were supposed to be on universal joints of some sort, I do believe. But these are strictly just swivel joints that rotate in and rotate out. There's no knees, there's no um, ankles or anything, so you have to be kind of careful, and you have to have them positioned a certain way for the figure to properly balance so it doesn't fall over. Now, I have seen photos where they do use the Rocksteady stand because there are foot pegs, and using that as a balance, you can get some interesting poses. So, that was the articulation. Let me adjust the camera and we can get a more detailed look at the figure, which is where it really shines. Where this figure was lacking in articulation and really any playability, it has plenty of detail. First, you have this great painted tusk or horn, and there's like sculpted in lines and ridges. If you look around the head, there's like a lot of like grooves and knots, and really it's all over the body of this skin texture. There's the gold tooth of Steranko. Now apparently he also had a diamond for an eye, but unfortunately that's really not painted in well to show it. You do have the soft goods chest harness here. Moving down, you do have, more of that texture here on the arm with some veins. Now here he has what I think are supposed to be hand guards or something. The picture on the back of the box actually makes it look like it's coming out of his body, but it's like a molded in shot of like the hammer, and on this hand here you have the sickle. Now, on the back of the packaging, it shows the you know the sickle hand holding the hammer, and I think vice versa, whatever. Um, but realistically, I mean, the sickle really can only fit in here, and the hammer, I mean, I had to squeeze it through up here. That's why I said it's very difficult to get these in. So I think these are molded for these weapons, just not molded well enough, and it really is a burden and a half to get them in. You have this green military fatigue uh, tank top, which I think is kind of interesting because if I remember Stranko, he wore a proper Russian military uniform. So I wonder if they like strip him down or something. But here you have his pants that are done in this light, very light, like like a seafoam green type of color with a dark forest green camouflage pattern over it. And then moving down to the feet, it's not as nicely detailed as say the arms or the head, but there is still some of that like molded in notches and ridges and like I showed you before, the foot pegs on the bottom. I'm curious to see if this figure suffered from the same issues that Playmates has been having with their factories overseas, where the factories will just turn around and say, yeah, we're not doing that in terms of painting and sculpting and things of that nature. Even after seeing other reviews of Rocksteady, I was very disappointed getting this figure in my hand. It just doesn't live up to the standards I figured we would be getting from, the classic Bebop and Rocksteady. And I don't mean the classic version of the figure, just how these are iconic classic characters. Bebop is by far the better figure of the two, which is kind of a shame because I've always preferred Rocksteady over Bebop. Um, as I mentioned in Bebop's review, he and Rocksteady right here will be Walmart exclusives until the end of 2014. In 2015, they will be available in all retailers that carry the Turtle toys. Now, that doesn't mean January 1st, 2015, stores they're just going to magically pop up in stores. I don't know how long it's going to take. I know Walmart.com has them in stock, so if you want them for the holidays, that's the best way to go if you don't have a Walmart in your area. But whatever you do, do not pay internet markups on these figures, especially for Rocksteady. It is not worth more than the retail price. Frankly, I don't even think it's worth the retail price of $8.99, $9.99, whatever it is. You're basically getting a statue with somewhat posable arms and legs, and it's just really, there's no play value to it either. So yeah, so that's my main recommendation. Don't pay scalper prices to get Bebop and Rocksteady online. Get them off of Walmart.com or wait till next year where they're in stores across the country. As it is, as far as I know, the episodes where they debut have not aired yet. So if you're a parent, it's doubtful your kid even knows they exist. This is your old pal Chuck for Rocksteady. We'll see you next time.